The following is a Roll Poll production.
Good catch there by my wife, who caught the fact that we weren't on YouTube. So, and then I also didn't shave the. It's been a long day, guys. I've been working a lot, and so it's reflective there. So, welcome, take two of the Motor City Metrics podcast here on the TigerMinorLeagueReport.com. I'm Raul Heller, still alongside me is Chris Brown, Mike Papp, Jack, and Uper. And we'll start this again. So hopefully everybody's going well. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels, Motor City Metrics and Tiger Minor League Report. But who's that all that background noise, by the way? What is that going on? Is that you? Is that you, Chris? Or
I don't know. What does it sound like?
Sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
I don't think it's me. Hold on.
No, I think it was Chris. Okay.
Is it back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A vacuum
back.
cleaner?
Yeah.
Weird. All right, let me see.
Oh, there it goes. Whatever. It's down. Okay. All right.
All right then.
All right. Now, the reason why I was wanting to get the mic issues is because we did an interview earlier with the new voice of the Lakeland Flying Tigers in Zach Zernick, who joined us and talked about the Flying Tigers, and we had some alert listeners giving some feedback that my mic levels were a little low. So I just want to make sure that our mic quality is good. But yeah, coming up today, we're going to talk about the West Coast trip as the Tigers came back 2-4. And they had the home opener. Sam Mezen abruptly resigned, so I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it just happened as Cody Saberhagen of The Athletic reported that. And we'll be talking about the home opener tomorrow as the Tigers take on the White Sox, who are actually looking. They have a pitcher who threw one of the best looking changes I've ever seen. And the White Sox are all the AL Central right now is all in just 2-4 land, except for the Twins who are 2-5. But look, the first road trip of the year. The fact is that they played a team that's now 8-0 and one of the best teams we've seen on paper in a while. And you were saying this in the first take of the version. There's not a weak spot in this lineup at all.
Yeah. It's not that they have stars everywhere. It's just that they don't have any bad players. There's just not a guy on there that you would say, oh, man, he sucks. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in that. They have their Hall of Famers, and those are all incredible ball players. But just the fact that they can run guy after guy after guy who's going to give a decent at-bat with no let-up, it's impressive.
Yeah, you can tell how difficult it is for the pitchers to get through that, right? Like they have to stay completely focused the entire time. There's no, like you said, there's no like, easy out here.
Yeah.
And you make one mistake and they're going to make you pay. And it's, the only difference is, the Hall of Famers up top will put it over the fence. The other guys will just hit you for a single or a double. So, yeah, it's an incredibly good roster. And as Raj pointed out, they haven't lost yet. And the Tigers played fairly well in all three games. They didn't really make any defensive miscues. They got on base consistently. They just couldn't get the big hit when they needed it. And the starting pitching was a little iffy. I guess the pitching overall was a little iffy, but I kind of chalked it up mostly to early season stuff, right? Like guys just didn't have their command.
Those first two games were close, and they weren't outclassed. They just came up on the wrong end of tight games, and they had every opportunity to win game two. It was right in their lap, and they couldn't get it done. But yeah, I agree with you. On the road against the Dodgers, what are you going to do?
I mean, what did we say at the end of the last show? Like 2-5 would be reasonable coming off that road trip. I mean, I think we said 1-6, 2-5. You don't hope for it, but wouldn't be a shock whatsoever. So, I mean, I don't think I'm surprised at all.
Yeah, winning the series in Seattle is nothing to sneeze at, right? That's a very good pitching staff there. I mean, they made Emerson Hancock go to AAA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got to Logan Gilbert, even though it was one of those things where they swung and missed a ton, but they were able
22 swings and misses, by the way.
But they were still able to do enough, and they got enough pitching. And Casey Mize looked really good. Yeah. They gave up one hit in that game, right? And it was the first batter of the game. Am I right?
Yes. First pitch, I think.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, it was a nice series win there. You'd love to get that third one, and it's a bummer because For whatever reason, Colt Keith seems to be the new online whipping boy, and he makes a bad mental error. He admitted to it,
Mhm.
and then it prolonged the inning, and then it led to Skubal. Skubal made a bad pitch, got taken advantage of. Ryan Kreidler couldn't run it down, and it was like a series of and they just couldn't climb all the way back. But again, just like we saw all the end of last year in the Dodger series, they had chances. They had the bases loaded in the ninth, and they couldn't quite get that tying run across. But it's all you can ask for is the chances, right? Like it'd be nice if you go out there and win every single game, but if they're giving themselves a chance, then they're going to win their fair share. So I don't know. I don't think you could be too upset about this West Coast series.
Yeah, it's a 2-4 road trip. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do, and they were highly competitive. I mean, also you look at Luis Castillo. He's still a very good pitcher, and he is a guy that I was talking about this with Chris yesterday. He has this old fashioned feel to him in a sense that like he has an old fashioned like it's just angle. The way he reminds me, Luis Tait, the former Boston Red Sox pitcher, just the way he goes about it and uses different angles and what have you. He is a very good pitcher, and the Mariners they do swing and miss a lot. But I mean, there's a couple there's 3 takeaways from this West Coast trip that I think that's worth highlighting. One, Casey Mize is a dude. I mean, Casey Mize does the best looking his splitter has looked in a long time. Probably, I think it was Jed UK who said it was the best he had seen since Erie. And I would agree with that because I have it. I mean, it was at times you've seen it glimpses of it here, but it was very, very good pitch. But the fastball was even the velocity wasn't even there. It was like 93, 94. And the fact that he was able to play up with that in the higher part of the zone, use a split and slider right there, you're changing eye levels. That's what is important to do. It's just that, velocity matters. Don't get me wrong, but to a certain extent. But if you can change eye level and keep the hitters off balance, it's the name of the game. Number 2, Dylan Dingler had a good series too. Dylan Dingler had they talked about this in the broadcast that AJ Hinch mentioned that for the first part of the series that they were able to have their own individual catchers, and so Dingler caught the first game of the series against Seattle for Jackson Jobe, and I'm sure we'll talk about Jackson Jobe. But I thought Dingler had a really good series, hitting the ball really well, saw the ball well, and whether he's going to take over Jake Rogers or not is yet to be questioned. But Jake Rogers, don't get me wrong, his defensive catching ability is very important to this team, and so Hinch is going to value that. And number 3, is the Cole Keith stuff too is like just kind of ridiculous right now. I mean, I look, he made a mental error. I get it, and it's one of those things where I don't understand. I mean, I think it's a little bit of trolling, but it's just why are we living and dying after every 6 games? I mean, the Ryan Kreidler stuff. Okay, same thing. Ryan Kreidler is just what he is. He is a 26 man on the squad. It's just, to me, I just think it's just borderline. We're beating up these guys up every night. It's just like, guys, you need to be angry about something. Great. To each their own. I mean, if Cole Keith, Cole Keith is second in the league in walks, but I guess that doesn't matter to some people.
Well, I mean, just look at that game in total, right? I mean, he walked 3 times, got on base, started the rally in the 9th inning. I mean, for all the bad, and he made an error. I mean, not an error, but a mistake. I mean, it was a bad one too. It cost 2 runs ultimately. But you have to kind of consider he's been playing first base all spring, getting mentally ready to do that. Now he's throwing him into the fire at second base, and he made a mental gaffe. And for a young player starting out at year 2, not overly shocking. But yeah, people do like to pile on. Like he missed the tag on that steal another couple innings later. That wasn't his fault. He caught the ball and swiped, and he couldn't hit the guy. What are you going to do? That just happened. And people were talking about he had a base running error as well in the 9th. I don't know about that. If you guys saw that, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, you're taught to let the ball get through, right? Both guys are diving for that thing. He did kind of start to run, and then he stopped, but hard to say, oh, that was a massive F-up right there. He just wasn't. He stopped at third. Bases loaded, 1 out. You got to get a run home. And Javi Baez wasn't the man of the moment.
Yeah, I was sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off if you're about to say something.
No. Oh, go ahead.
Raj and I were talking about this the other day, and I think a large portion of being a sports fan is being able to just yell and complain about stuff.
Yeah.
That you can't just berate your boss or your spouse, and you've got all this anger, and you let it out on Ryan Kreidler and Javi Baez and Colt Keith or whomever, Bo Brisky, anybody who hasn't performed, you just let it out on them, and it makes you feel better about yourself. And maybe that's maybe sports is just therapy for everybody, but it does kind of seem odd to me at times that, yes, it's 6 games. Guys are going to make mistakes over the course of the season. You just got to let these things play out, right? They're 2-4. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, it's 6 games in.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is just like Colt Keith. This is one play. If he starts doing this consistently, then we have something to talk about. But one play in the first 6 games, really, it's crazy. It's just, I think people are just left over from football season where there's 16 games. There's a lot more games. We're 3.7% through the season. We have quite a long ways to go.
Look, Samuel said, I'm not a mouth breather who's yelling at people like Colt Keith, but there has to be a conversation there is a conversation to be had about him.
What is it?
Because he hit for more power? I mean, sure. Yes, there's a couple things you can, in year 2, you can look at. But again, I'm going to wait until May or late May or June to have a conversation. Gleyber Torres hit second is as Daily Ninja B said, like, I don't know, like, if you want to talk about Colt Keith's lack of power, fine. You can talk about that. You can say what you will. But I'm not going to, is he pulling a Chuck Knobloch right now, high on meth and playing second base? No. It
was ecstasy, not meth.
Oh, sorry, ecstasy, whatever. Yeah.
But yes.
Tomato. No.
No, okay. I mean, we can have conversations about everybody, right? Like Spencer Torkelson was great in that first game and looked like a different player against the Dodgers, and then kind of looked like Spencer Torkelson in Seattle. We can have a conversation about that. We don't really want to yet. We want to hope that something has changed. His stance has changed. Keith had a bad series in L.A. for sure. He couldn't see the ball. He looked really bad up the plate, but then he went and walked 6 times in Seattle. It's like, I don't know. Like, he seems to be seeing the ball fine. We'd all love for him to hit more power. I'm sure he would like to as well. But he's still trying to figure out how to hit major league pitching consistently. It's a hard thing to do.
But by the way, Jace Young's dad wanted to remind us that he has hit for the cycle in the last 5 at bats.
Yeah, he did get a single. I saw. I didn't put a single up. I put his double up earlier, but I didn't put the single up.
Nice.
Yeah. But Jace Young, by the way, is now 7 for his last 15. He's 7 for his 15 to start the season. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
The whole thing about a lot of it with people like Brisky and Colt Keith and everybody else who's had a little bit of a slow start. It's just the victim of it being the start of the season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're after 3 games, you're 0 for 12. It looks bad. If you go 0 for 12 in the middle of June, nobody cares. I mean, because we have other stats that cover all that shit up.
Yeah. You don't notice until, like, you go, hey, he hasn't been playing well. And you go looking, he's 0 for his last 12. And then he gets a hit and you forget about it. Yeah, if it's game 97 through 99, you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's like we have to, I think to Mike's point, we got to get back into that slow baseball feel where, you just got to let things happen. You be patient. And I remember we were complaining last year. It felt like the front office in Hinch, I mean, they take patience to a level far greater than we do.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're like, we'll just keep waiting. And it's like June. You're like, how much are you going to wait on this guy? And then things work out. It's a long season.
As far as like defensively, Sam says that so far defensively he hasn't worked on any position. He struggled at second base last year and became a plus defender at second base last year. I mean, I think Uper, like, I'm not going to make an excuse of the fact, but Uper's right. I mean, if you're playing first base, you've been playing first base the entire spring training, they're telling you first base, and then you're going to second. I don't know. I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway there. I mean, his second, like last year, he was a defensive liability first part of the season, no doubt. And then he got better. He got better as a defender. So, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to, like I said, even look at the defensive metrics, his numbers were better. So we'll see what happens here. And again, but now you have a situation where if Justin Timberlake continues to hit, what are you going to do when Gleyber Torres gets back? I mean,
There are some interesting decisions to be made if and when everybody gets healthy, for sure. Because you could be talking about three guys coming back now. Ryan Kreidler's going to go down. That's for sure. After that, I don't know. Would Malloy go down? Depending, I don't know. It's. We'll get to that when we get there. But yeah, they're somebody's going to get squeezed out again.
I mean, and here's the thing too. No, you know what? And Sam, I'm look, we're having a conversation here. We're not arguing with each other. I like people bringing up different points. I'll never yell at anybody for that stuff. Sometimes I do get a little heated, but I'm not going to yell. There's no reason to yell. I think you're absolutely right. There is a conversation to have with him, and hopefully it just becomes a matter of more consistency. There's no reason. We can all have different takes and everything like that. I welcome an open discourse, but what I have a problem is when people call him names and then just when people rag. I'm like, some of the stuff on Twitter has just been vile and ugly. That's the part I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Riley Green had a pretty awesome series, and we know he's very good. He's an all-star. He hit 112-mile-an-hour home run in the opposite field or something like that. But he goes through his stretches where he strikes out a ton, can't hit a changeup to save his life, keeps rolling over at second base, and then he snaps out of it. Like, it's the nature of the game, and yeah, I think you've nailed it. It's just because it's the first week. It's like everything feels magnified times 1,000. Bo Brisky's the worst pitcher ever because he put a changeup, half a foot below the zone, and Mookie Betts is, an all-time great hitter. and probably a very smart hitter who probably knew that was coming because he knew it was Brisky's best pitch. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, and the other thing, too, about the series that I found it really interesting, too, to see is that the Tigers seem to, once again, as far as, relievers go, just go, trust us, we got this. And we saw, Brandon Hanafy look pretty solid, and it continues to be a guy. And then they brought in the John
Brebbia.
Brebbia. Brebbia looked pretty solid too. So it's like they continue to turn these relievers out. And here's the thing too about because Chris and I were talking about this the other day. Actually, it was yesterday. What's interesting to us in Toledo is that you get these outfielders, right? They sign these the Brewer, Halen, Ben Gamble, all these guys that they sign, and it makes me realize it dawned on me they're disposable. What I mean by that is in the sense that these guys are set to going to be released. The Tigers have to make a move back and forth with that. I mean, I'm no offense to Ben Gamble or anything like that, but it seems like because you have that really weird gap right now with Roberto Campos and Erie, not ready for, you have Justice Bigby back down in Erie. You have Austin Murr on the Florida Complex League. There's just some weirdness going on in the minor leagues that these guys are essentially placeholders. So, that'll be interesting to see because then that just allows them to have more position flexibility when eventually if Ryan Kreidler goes back down. So, all right. Let's, let's,
wait.
Well, go ahead.
Why don't we do some reckless speculation?
Reckless spec. Ooh, you know what? Well, we need some music for that though, don't we?
We do. It's been a while since we've done some reckless speculation.
Yes.
But, you don't normally see an assistant general manager resign in the first week of the season, the day before the home opener. So I don't think that was he suddenly got another job. This sounds like kind of a classic clash of personalities there in the front office. So we probably won't ever hear exactly what happened, but little palace intrigue or whatever, right? Like what's going on up there?
Well, it is interesting. I mean, I can't say I keep track of all the assistant GMs in baseball, but you don't hear of them resigning in the first week of a season, especially when, you look for jobs probably in the off season, right? I mean, when you're trying to line up a gig. So it will be interesting if anything leaks out what that is. And it might be something totally innocuous, but I guess we'll just have to see. Maybe got a job at a Fortune 500 gig. Who knows?
Here's the thing. him and I'm trying to remember the other guy, the other guy,
Jay Sartori.
Jay Sartori are the last holdovers of the Ill administration.
I mean, I guess Garco technically was hired by Avila too. Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. Garco was promoted to an assistant GM as well, right? So you got Garco as an
I
assistant.
thought he was
GM.
assistant VP or something, wasn't he?
I thought there were, there are a lot of titles up there. Minzen and Sartori were assistant GMs. Garco was promoted. Jeff Greenberg came in. You assume that there's going to be some, you can't get that many people in the same area and have them all agree on things. And at a certain point, you probably have sort of severe differences in philosophy, and maybe it's enough to just leave. But who knows? Maybe we'll find out later what happened.
You know what though? I like to think that we have eyes and ears everywhere, and I like to think that I have an idea of what happened, and I think we have some video of exactly what happened. So I'm gonna I think it's important to share this. It's important to share what is going on and what exactly happened. I think there was a rumble there. I really think there's some rumble here in the streets of Detroit, and they're getting ready to fight for this spot, for the GM spot. Like they have their scouts and they're dancing in the streets and they're ready to fight. It's
Minzy and the Jets.
Yeah. Sorry, just because all of them wore khaki pants. So I was just trying to find something else, and just like.
Have I ever? I must have shown you the video before of like the PSA, the after school special about the gangs.
Yeah, yeah.
With Wesley from Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah.
The dancing purple gang that's trying to attack him, and
yeah,
something about dancing gangs.
Yeah, I don't know. I just see him like all jokes aside. I mean, I'm sure they settled it like I don't know. Anyway, I thought it add some humor to the thing. So, judging by the YouTube comments, it didn't go too well. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was funny, but all right. Let's go into our first segment of the day, and that would be, as soon as I find it, would be the inside numbers. So, Mike, what is your insider number?
Today I have 2-4, which is the whole AL Central. Well, the Twins lost today, so they're actually 2-5. But I know it's six games in. I know the Tigers are technically tied for first. AL Central's 2-4. I was looking at the rest of the divisions. And I feel like I should preface pretty much everything I'm saying with I know that we're 6 games in. But every other division has at least 2 teams over 500 right now. The AL Central has all 4 teams under 500. But not only that, the bonus number is +4, and that is the Chicago White Sox run differential. Even though they are also 2-4, they are the only team in the AL Central with a positive run differential. I know that we saw the AL Central have 3 teams in the playoffs last year, and that was great. And you're like, oh, hey, look, the AL Central, they're not the worst division. And again, I know this is 6 games. I know. But it's just interesting to see that when the AL Central does have a reputation of being a relatively weak division, and then you're seeing all of them start this slow. Again, I don't really know if it really matters, but it's still an interesting observation that they are by far the worst division in baseball right at this moment.
So what will the White Sox run differential be this weekend is what we need to know.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Their starting pitching has been great so far. It's very unexpected.
I think one of the first teams in several years with no earned runs allowed by their first 4 starters.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like the 2013 ALCS.
Yeah, I mean, Walter brings up a good point. I mean, the Tigers did play the Dodgers.
For sure.
So I mean, White Sox have So
Well,
it's
yeah, I mean, I was looking at it yesterday. I think the National League West, I think the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants had like 27% of all the wins in baseball so far.
yeah. What was it with what was the stat I saw the other day with the Marlins and White Sox were like just among in terms of pitching stats were one of the best. It just kind of blew my mind because the Marlins don't have much left to work with essentially. What is your inside number?
My numbers are pretty simple. One is 0, and the other is 6.9%.
Nice.
Quick guess. What's the 0? Anybody know?
Number of hits for Andy Ibanez.
No.
Wins for Scooble.
No. Roger.
I got nothing.
There have been 0 Spencer Torkelson pop-ups.
Oh, there we go. That's
0%. And this is a man who has generally been around 14, 15, 16%. Still flies. It's been a weakness of his. He pops up a lot. So far, he has not. So that is good. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but that's okay. Very Dr. Seussy of me. But, he's at 0% pop-ups. Also, the 6.9 is 6.9% swinging strikes. And that's a pretty low percentage for him as well. He's usually in the double digits. So, early in the season, all that in play, but he has looked better. And, he did go for 4 yesterday, and that had a lot of people down on him already. It didn't take much. But, what he did do yesterday was he swung a little more. He didn't look as selective to me as he did in the first several games. So that could be just something to do with Luis Castillo more than anything. But we'll just have to see where it goes from here. But it's a good start for Spencer Torkelson. It means a lot to his ball club if he can be a productive player.
Yeah, the 1-1 revenge tour would be in full effect.
Yep.
It's a T-shirt waiting to happen. I trademark that right now. Chris, what is your inside number?
Yeah, so I had a random one last week about Matt Vierling's batting stance because of the new thing on StatCast, but who cares? Mine this week is 95.1, which is the average.
Is it the ERA of Matt Manning?
Oh boy, well, you know what? He didn't look as bad today. It's two earned runs today. No, it's the average fastball velocity for the Tigers this year. Tigers starting pitching this year, and that includes four-seamers, sinkers, and cutters. And that's the second hardest in baseball so far, behind only the Dodgers, who are at 95.5. And if you're curious, the bottom of that list, the White Sox at 91.9, the Brewers at 91.8, which might explain all those Yankees home runs, and the Orioles at 91.7. So it just kind of interesting to see who's throwing hard early. And the Tigers are up there.
What was the other? You said the 6.9 was the swinging strike?
Swinging strike percentage, and the 0 was the 0 pop-ups.
Okay, all right.
To this point,
that is a good inside number there. So my inside number has to do with what we witnessed. I witnessed all weekend really in the past weekend in Toledo, and that was Justin Henry Malloy's numbers, and I had them pulled up, and now all of a sudden they're gone. Here they are. So. My inside number is 455, 538, and 99. That's the /9 that Justin Henry Malloy pulled up, going 5 for 11 against Columbus. And we talked about this a little bit in the minor league podcast, but I wanted to mention this again, that he took advantage of the Cleveland having a bunch of pitchers that were making their AAA debut, and he jumped all over it. So it didn't matter who he was facing, Malloy hit the ball very well. And Jace Young, by the way, is now 7 for 15. On this, still, like I mentioned earlier, but it is worth mentioning because Justin Malloy should have a spot on this team, and again, defensively, that's why he didn't have a spot, and so it will be interesting to see. But the other number too, I wanted to throw in a bonus number with this because it is I mentioned him earlier, but it is heading into tonight's game, 20.25, and that was the ERA of Matt Manning. So he's looked a little rough down in Toledo, but the pitching staff as a collective too has just kind of been it's off to a rough start in Toledo right now. So Jake, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, the pitcher who pitched for Columbus on Saturday got sent down to Akron. So there was a bunch of guys who were filling in because, from my understanding, just talking to some our buddies in Cleveland, they had a bunch of guys that were at the taxi squad in Arizona, and so Columbus didn't have their full array of rosters. So, but yeah, I mean, it's still impressive numbers. Don't get me wrong, but just wanted to point that out there too. So, yeah, let's continue on. If you guys want to, was any bonus numbers or anything? Does anybody in the chat? If anybody has a chat, by the way, just for a heads up too, for a super chat, if you want to give us a super chat, by all means, we'll read your inside number for, super chats go back towards the website. Better equipment, because apparently my mics have been bad. But let's go in the good, the bad, the ugly. All right, so there's a lot of weird things in baseball going on. I mentioned this earlier. The torpedo bats are one of the things I'm sure that was going to come up at some point. But Chris, what is your good and bad, the ugly this week? I can't. You're muted. Sir.
Mute.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I muted myself just in case. My good actually was those torpedo bats, or some people are calling them the bowling pin bats. And who knows if they're actually working. The players seem to be excited about it, so that's fine. But mostly, like, my reaction to that is like, finally, the batters have something. The pitchers have all this technology and all these advances they've been able to make, and just something for batters to maybe get a little bit of that back. I think mostly it people have had different kinds of bats for a while, right? There were the axe handle bats. They're like the puck knob bats or whatever, and bat fitting or whatever. People getting bats specifically designed for their swings, and I would like to see a little bit more of that going forward. And I kind of talked about this a few weeks ago with lefties not being able to hit lefties and so forth. I feel like hitters should do more experimentation, or the analytics people, like, you should have different bats for different opponents, right? Like, I know these hitters, they're all about their swing. You got to keep the swing the same, but it's like golfers swing 12 different clubs, right? And that's still a rotational sport. They got to keep the swing the same, but they've got different thing. And it's like, if there's a pitcher that is known for pitching inside, maybe you use the bowling pin bat or the torpedo bat. You get the barrel a little closer to you. Or if there's a pitcher that's known for pitching away, get the regular bat. Maybe even bats based on the situation in the game, right? Like this bat I know is going to help me hit a pop fly better than this bat. Maybe this bat is lighter and I can put the ball in play. It just strikes me as something that they should be doing to get a little bit of an advantage in different situations. And who knows? Maybe they're already doing stuff like that. You just don't ever hear about that. It's usually guys just use the same bat, right? Like, this is my bat. I like this bat. I just feel like, it's the only tool you really have as a hitter. You should probably think about, ways to get an advantage. But I don't know. So maybe these bats will help.
Yeah, like the old Tennessee Thumpers. You guys remember those metal bats? They also had them in the wood bats too. But look at the Rob Dearborn. He had a big ass barrel they used, but it was called the Tennessee Thumper. I remember that being kind of a big deal back in the day. But look at that. I mean, look at the size of that barrel there.
Yeah.
That's So, no.
There's only so much you can do, right? Like it has to be round and it has to be, no more than 2.61 inches or whatever. I don't know how the hell they came up with that. Maybe that's but I don't know. Just, I would think there'd be more experimentation just because drilling every opinion. So my bad is Dylan Cruz. A lot of people were paying attention to what Rafael Devers was doing at the beginning of the season. What was like 0 for whatever with a billion strikeouts. But Dylan Cruz has started the year 0 for 18 with 10 strikeouts and 1 walk. That is a 53% strikeout rate. And we hope he figures it out. But I've always been slightly skeptical of him ever since his when he was in high school, and he was one of the big high school names, and then he had a really rough summer circuit where he swung and missed too much. And so he ended up going to LSU, and then he was a monster at LSU. There's no denying that. And eventually I was like, all right, well, maybe he just figured it out. But then, we saw him a fair amount in Double-A. Harrisburg plays Erie, and I was never really impressed. I think there was a game last year, where I think Lockhart struck him out 3 times or something like that, and it was maybe 2 years ago. And I don't know. I don't necessarily see it with him. Maybe it'll just take a little bit longer, but I don't know. It's a rough start for Dylan Cruz, that's for sure.
No
It's
question.
funny to think about that top 5 of that draft, right? Like you got Langford just rocketed to the big leagues and had a good, very great closing month last year. Paul Skeens is like arguably the best pitcher in baseball already. Max Clark and Walker Jenkins are 2 like top 10, top 20 prospects in baseball, and then Dylan Cruz he's in the big leagues, but nothing yet. And my ugly is David Bednar, which is just example 10 billion of how quickly it can all go away for relievers, right? Bednar was from 2021 to 2023. He was arguably one of like the 5 or 6 best relievers in baseball. It's like a 2.25 ERA over 100 innings, or 180 innings. Plenty of strikeouts, not too many walks. Held batters to a 2.04 average. He made 2 All-Star games, and then last year he was hurt before the season, and it seemed to never get right. And he ended up with like a 5.7 ERA, 5.5 ERA. And this year he got all of 3 outings with the Pirates before they sent him to AAA. From the All-Star game to AAA in like 18 months. And he threw 1 inning in 3 outings, if that tells you what happened. There were a couple blown saves there. And even the time he completed the save, he gave up a 2-run homer. So it's just rough out there for relievers. And it's a good reminder that these guys can be elite one day and just disappear the next.
They burn hot and fast.
Yep.
Yeah. So speaking of that, too, Sam brings up Evan Carter. It was funny the other day. I was like, Evan Carter's back. So why is that name so familiar? But I'm going to go second. I always go last. So I'm going to go this time. The good is George Springer, who really needed a good start to start the year. I mean, he's been struggling the last couple seasons or so. To me, it's a big reason why Toronto's off to a really good start right now. They're off to a 5-2 start, I believe. He's put up a slash line of 429, 522, or 520, 667 with 2 doubles, 1 home run, and 4 walks. And so they definitely need some production. With everything going on with all the drama, contract drama with Vladimir Guerrero and Jr. and everything, it is a good story to see that George Springer can produce, and they definitely need all of especially in that division. There's a gauntlet of the division too. The bad, and a little bit, and I think it's a little bit of what's going on in Boston, Arizona, is these contract extensions. When I say that is, I feel like it's bad in 2 reasons. One, there was Christian Campbell that signed an extension. I think it was a Marte in Arizona. I think that's kind of a troubling sign of things to come, that there's going to be labor issues beyond the season in 2026 when they have to come into a new agreement. Because I think that some of these guys are selling themselves short. Like I was talking to my brother about this, like they're not betting on themselves and they're just going, and that's fine. I mean, look, Riley Green should have signed an extension. I mean, I'm not trying to sell him like I'm being a homer here with this stuff, but at the same time, the reason why I kind of worried about this a little bit is because they're going to get paid throughout the strike. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's to me a little concerning because, we stopped having baseball. It's just, for us, it sucks, but I don't know. To me, I just think that it's, the way that you saw something like Alex Verdugo had to wait a long time to even get a deal. There's just something really, I don't want to say sinister per se, but it just seems a little shenanigans going on with some of this stuff. And so I know fans are really happy to get to see the player long term, and I'm not, Cole Keefe is an example of that too. But I don't know, it gives me pause for concern. I know that I'm probably in minority of that, but I don't know about you guys, what you think about that.
No. But I think last week I even said that I like that guys are getting paid. It's a little bit different. Sometimes it's like Cal Raleigh got an extension, but Jackson Merrill and Christian Campbell are the 2 big ones for these young prospects. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And to a certain extent, it is a bummer, right? Because you'd like to see more Juan Sotos, right, who just believe in themselves and go out there and get absolutely monster deals because it helps everybody else. On the other hand, I totally understand it from these kids' perspectives, right? Like I think of other guys like Cody Bellinger had a few amazing seasons to start his career. Had he signed an extension then, he probably would have gotten tons and tons and tons of money, and then it kind of fell apart for him. He still, did okay. I think $17 million a year is more than okay, but you know what I mean? Like sometimes things just fall apart. I was talking with my buddy earlier. Do you remember Trevor Rogers, the pitcher?
Yeah.
Um,
Former Marlin, right?
yeah.
Marlins.
So when he was 23 in 2021, he had a 4-WAR season, 133 innings, 2.64 ERA, 10.6 strikeouts per nine. If he had signed an extension then, probably would have gotten paid pretty well. I don't know if it was offered or whatever. His last 3 years have been terrible.
He was in the minor leagues in the Orioles last year, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
it all fell apart for him. So it's like, and that can happen. That happens fairly often. It'd be nice if guys just believed in themselves and said, "Hey, I'm going to keep doing this and getting better." And but it doesn't always work out that way. And so, and I think there are ways to structure it that work that are okay. Like the Jackson Merrill deal, I think basically it can get up to $200 million for him, and then he'll still be a free agent at like 30 or 31. So if he's still a great player, he could probably get a good second deal, and that's still life-changing money no matter what. So I think that was a good one. The Campbell one seems a little low, but again, he hasn't actually proven it for a full season yet. And Merrill went out there and had an awesome rookie season, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Campbell looks like he's the real deal to me, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate for Jackson Job's Rookie of the Year chances. But
Yeah.
in any event, yeah, I don't know what the other guys think about it, but I see it both ways, right?
No, I thought Jackson Merrill. I wrote an article last year for Fanside. I thought he was going to make the team out of spring training, and he is legit. He is a really good player. I just find it surprising that I don't know. Yeah. But go ahead, Uper. Do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I just think that when in doubt, just know the owners know how to make money, right? Or at least they know how to save money. They know how not to spend money. And the Mets don't count with Steve Cohen because he has like $40 billion. Okay, fine, that's great. But the rest of the owners who are kind of living on planet Earth with just a whole lot of money, they know who to target, who can get these deals done, and they know in the long run that they're saving some cash on this. So, and if and when this strike or lockout happens, just know that the owners are going to. Everything is not about competitive balance. It's about making the owners cash. That's just kind of how I roll with that.
I think I don't think I have a problem with it. I think players are essentially giving up a year or two of free agency down the line to bypass arbitration and just get some money now. I kind of get it from the player side to an extent, but Christian Campbell's is really weird. I think that looking at it, I think he would have made more money in arbitration in the first 4 years of the deal if he's supposedly the real deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't really start making him any money that would be noticeable until he's 28 years old to be making $9.25 million. That would be his last year of arbitration. And that's a high number for arbitration for sure. But I don't know. Is his a bad sign of more to come down the road? I think it's possible, but I don't think they're overall bad, but I don't like Campbell's at all. I think that it's a bad contract. And I was even thinking before you brought this up, Roger, like I was reading it before the show and I was like, did he have like an agent? Did this agent like go over this? It just feels
Rushed.
You're right, Chris. It seems real low. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of like when the Braves got Acuna and
Albies.
Ozzie
Yeah.
Albies.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I feel like
Those
that way. I
deals
mean,
were
yeah.
incredibly low,
Yeah.
especially Ozzie Albies. I thought that was almost criminal.
Yeah, I was
Whoever
actually
represented him.
I was actually just looking at that. Albie's got 7 years and $35 million with 2 club options for $7 million a year for next year and the next year. So 9 years and $49 million for a guy who's has he been an all-star? He's been an awfully good player for a while. And Acuna got 8 years and $100 million, where he would have gotten. Now he's an interesting case because he went out there and had that monstrous season, but he's been hurt so much that who knows what's going to happen when he comes along. But he was a guy that could have gotten paid like Juan Soto had he stayed healthy.
Sure.
So.
No, but the ending ugly. By the way, the Pirates optioned David Bernard back down to make room for pitching prospect Thomas Harrington, who I saw at Altoona. It's an Erie guy he's more touch than velocity. But to me, that's just like in terms of a guy who was he's a local guy in Pittsburgh, and he Pittsburgh did not waste any time, but he had a really bad spring training, but it was goes beyond that. He had posted a 5.77 ERA last half of the season last year and struggled. But I mean, the first 3 appearances, he just lit up, and so the Pirates had enough. And so it sucks. It's unfortunate, but you mentioned earlier, it's so weird that you mentioned earlier, Chris, Trevor Rogers, and now it's almost like the same thing's happening to him. So Jason Foley's in Toledo, so it's just like relievers are just, no. But anyway, all right. Uber, what's your good and bad and ugly this week?
Well, my good, we already touched on it earlier, but I had it down, so I want to give him the shout out. Dylan Dingler, looking really good. When you look at his AAA numbers last year, I just remember thinking, man, if he could bring some, portion of that to the big leagues, they would really have something. It took him a while to get ready, but a lot of catchers do, and now it appears, he's swinging a nice bat, making a lot of good contact. Stan mentioned earlier, will he be starting 60% of the time? I was gonna before the show, I was thinking, is he going to get 90 starts to Jake Rogers 70 starts? And that would not shock me over time if it gets that way. If Dingler continues to hit, I don't think the difference in their defensive value is enough to offset that. Because let's face it, Rogers can go through long stretches where he's not very productive, and you get that one home run every 3 weeks, and that's fine. But given where this club is offensively, if Dylan Dingler continues to hit, I think he has to play. And it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the Scooble starts will go to Rogers and maybe one other start a week, and I think the rest will be Dingler at some point. Right now, it's going to be Jake Rogers' job, but I think Dingler is coming up in the stretch on him pretty quick.
I thought it was pretty telling that Rogers was pinch hit for with Dingler the other day. It was like, this catcher gives us a better chance to get a hit than you do. And that tells me something. And I agree with you. I mean, Dingler's calling card has always been his defense. And if he can look like this as a hitter, I mean, it goes back to when we first saw him way back in West Michigan. We thought he was the better prospect than Spencer Torkelson. And then, it took a while. But if he's this player, it's like an all-star level catcher. So, I mean, you don't want to get crazy too early, but he's shown the flashes, and that's pretty exciting.
So, and, Dingler, continuing on with him, it kind of leads into my bad. He had the big hit in game 2 to get the Tigers up by 2 runs in the 10th. Impressive swing. He didn't hit it hard, but he hit it where they weren't, and got past the outfielder out to Conforto. And that brings me to Bo Brisky coming out to pitch the 10th, the bottom of the 10th. Dodgers get 5 runs. And again, this is where at the beginning of the season, the stats are all starting at 0. And when you have a bad start, it looks ugly. Brisky, I'm not saying he's pitched well, but let's face it. To start that 10th, he gives up a bloop double to Conforto down the line. And you could just, I don't know about you guys, but I just had that feeling that given where this lineup, what the Dodger lineup can do, that was a bad start. I mean, it looked like maybe Riley Green didn't get the greatest jump on it. It took kind of a funny angle at first. That cost them a lot, to get that first guy in and another guy on second. And then Brisky, the next 3 guys hit ground balls, okay? It's not like he was peppered out of the stadium at bat after at bat. He gave up the blooper in 3 ground balls. Now, the 3 ground balls, 2 of them found holes for hits, okay? But, what's the league-wide batting average on ground balls? Last time I looked back in the day, it was like 220 or 215 or something. Mm-hmm. So, they got a 667 out of those 3. So it was kind of bad luck. And then he gave up the homer to Mookie, and Chris talked about that earlier. It wasn't a terrible pitch. Just a hell of a great hitter doing a hell of a great job, and that's what Mookie Betts does. So, and then the other day, Brisky came in the 4-1 win. He allowed the only run, but not a single ball left the infield. So I think Bo Brisky's going to be fine overall. He just kind of had the bad start to this week. And my ugly, we talked about this too, but I'll go with it. The Braves 0-7. I've always been a bit of a Braves fan. It's kind of as my second or third team after the Tigers, growing up watching them on WTBS every night. Back when you didn't, see baseball every night until they came on the air. You think back to the 2008 Tigers when they went 0-7. and everybody really thought, well, they still have a hell of a lot of talent. They're going to get back in this thing. And I remember saying then they might not get back to 500 before the 4th of July. And I don't know if they ever did. They end up 74 and 88 that year or something like that. This team for the Braves have a lot of talent, a lot of great players. They have Ronald Acuna coming back, but you just wonder if they continue, let's say they play 500 ball or a little less from here, it might be too late for them when Acuna gets back, especially if he's not quite on time as they're planning right now. So it's an ugly start. It happens to a lot of teams. We'll have to see if they can overcome it.
Yeah, it's especially in a division that tough. I mean, Philly's really good. They have really good pitching staff. It's just going to be even. I mean, I know the Marlins are the Marlins, but I mean, we all joke about that too. But the Nationals got some good players too. I don't know. I think the Braves are. It's obtainable because based off the Miami's gonna be Miami, but the Mets are the Mets are really good too. So it's just. Depends on how their pitching staff, because for the Braves right now it's outfield depth too. I mean, they went out and signed former Tiger prospect. Wow, I drew a blank. As soon as he's out of the system, gone.
Eddie's Leonard.
Yeah, Eddie's Leonard. Thank you. I don't know why, but how long ago with the Jared Kelenic experience? I mean, that's just a matter of you're talking about one of the most. You're talking about prospect fatigue right there. I mean, he's not a prospect anymore. The Mets right now are just injured. Littered with injuries. So, either way, Mike, what's your good, bad, the ugly this week?
All right. So for my good, I just want to bring up Casey Mize and his splitter.
Yes,
I know it's one start, but mixed with the spring and his first major league start, this is the Casey Mize that I think we were hoping to get when he first came up. I hate cliches, but he's got a fire under him. I really hate cliches, but sometimes it just feels right. He's throwing the splitter a lot more though. He threw it 15 times in that first start. And again, I know it's the tiniest sample size, but he had a 71.4% whiff rate on those 15 splitters. That's great. 3 of his 6 strikeouts came on a splitter. He has the confidence to throw it again, and it was it was the reason he went where he went. So I'm super pumped that Casey Mize is, at least for one start, I'm starting to see what I used to see, I guess, as opposed to last year when they literally left him off the postseason roster and he wasn't pitching at the end of the year. They shelved him. I remember, the whole deal with the end of the year where he was like, he thought he should be pitching, but the team's like, nah, you're going to go on the aisle longer. And there's just this whole thing. And after all this, I didn't really know how I felt about him. And then he has that start. I'm super pumped. Like Roger was saying, the 1-1 revenge tour. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, here's a look at his splitter too. If you're looking at curious on how well his splitter did here, look at this against lefties, just neutralizing lefties left and right here. So I just want to I love these little breakdowns they do here and kind of give you an idea of what he was working with there. So
it'll be really interesting to see his next start against the Yankees, right? I mean, the Yankees are a fly ball hitting team. Obviously, with the torpedo bats, they came after, I'm sure we'll talk about those again in a minute here, but to me, Mize, it's about keeping that ball in the park, and the Yankees will be a hell of a test.
Yeah. All right, Mike, go ahead and continue on.
So for my bad, I don't know. I don't like that the offense is exactly the same this year as it was last year, minus Margot right now. I know Torres is on the IL, but it just kind of goes to show, again, maybe this is just a fan in me, but I guess maybe when you catch lightning in a bottle for the playoffs, you hope to do something with it. And what the Tigers organization chose to do with it is I'm not saying it's the wrong answer. What they chose to do with it is to see what they could do with the development of the players that brought that in the first place. But what I couldn't help but think about is how often we talked about how they were, at the end of the day, even with their crazy run at the end of the season to push to the postseason, they were a league average to below average offense, and they were all season. Even when they were playing well, they were just about average. And I'm having a hard time seeing the same guys and break out of being more than a league average offense. And I thought that what they needed to do to make that final push for the playoffs, and ultimately why I didn't pick them in our preview show a couple weeks ago to make the playoffs, is because ultimately I don't think this offense is going to be more than a league average offense at its very best, and that even with what appears to be better pitching, starting wise anyway, I just don't know if it's. I think that's what's going to ultimately hold them back.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't like looking at the 25. It's just, it's funny. You say you don't like roster turnover, but it's crazy that there's really a lack of it right now. And again, maybe I'm not saying this is the right opinion. It's just, this is more of a feeling for my bad. It makes me feel bad, so that's why I put it here. But for my ugly, just kind of off of that, I feel like my ugly is often just an injury, and this week it's no different. The one guy they did add specifically for his offense, accepting him for his defensive woes, Gleyber Torres, he's on the IL. That was the one guy that they added to this offense, and it's fine because honestly they gave us Malloy, and can you say that Malloy is better than what Gleyber Torres would have been? You maybe could have. I guess we wouldn't know, but Malloy's been great for it. But what you get instead is we move the infield defense, and we already talked about this. I'm not going to get into the whole Holt Keith play, but I have a weird feeling my opinion on it is it wouldn't have even happened if the only guy on offense they got was Gleyber Torres, who only would play second base. It just, I don't know. I think it's ugly because it just makes their offseason look ugly. And again, I know it's an injury and he's on the 10-day DL. He didn't tear something. He'll be back, but it's just, damn, we're 4 games in. And we don't get anything on offense. Nothing new. We get Margot. That's the new guy. And it's all respect to him. I'm not getting like jumping for joy excited about Mr. Margot here. So
Escargot.
It was a real bummer to see
That's Margot.
Gleyber hits a home run and gets hurt. I mean, that's,
right.
Yeah,
You could tell as soon as he hit it, he looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The rotation of that home run, he struggled around the bases.
I used to play Stratomatic with my buddy Perry at lunch sometimes, and I don't ever remember the home run plus injury on the card. You could get strikeout plus injury or whatever, but yeah, I think what they need now is the team doctors to go, Gleyber, this issue with your side, you really might aggravate it playing second base. There's a lot of turning and throwing. If you play third base, you're looking right at first baseman. You can throw right there. It's better for you. You won't get hurt again. You'll
team out.
It would just really solve a lot of problems. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It did feel like they could have used him.
Yeah.
He's a good hitter for sure. But yeah, it is a bummer to see. It was a little bit like Alex Cobb. Before they got Flaherty, Alex Cobb was their big pitcher that they signed, and then whoops. But we kind of forget about him because Flaherty's good.
I'm choosing to forget about that signing, honestly. But
yeah,
anyway, go ahead, Roger.
I think
it's okay.
He still has a part to play
Chris.
in this.
sure.
Yeah, he could start 5 games. 5 games is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's criticizing anybody. I don't think anyone should get criticized when the player gets injured. I don't think anybody's saying that. It's just it's unfortunate.
Mike's issue was that they just added basically one bat, and he's the one who's hurt. So now it's just the same team as last year, minus Meadows and Vierling.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
So
by the way, so tomorrow is the home.
Oh, I think we lost you, Roger. Wait,
opener. Go ahead.
Your internet was playing slinky there.
I was telling you to go ahead.
I just wanted one thing I wanted to say about the torpedo bats. I I agree with a lot of what Chris said earlier. We go back to that about, hitters should get some advantages here and there, or they should be trying some things, and a lot of things are geared toward the pitcher. And I also know this: I should never compare youth baseball to Major League Baseball. Okay, that's stupid, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm not brilliant. So I cannot tell you how many times over the years as an umpire I've overheard people talking about bats. Okay, and the axe handle bat was one of them. Different things from Easton and everything that everybody was flocking to buy these $600 bats, and they're going to warp the sport. I mean, I heard that talk many times. It never happens. It just doesn't. And my opinion on the torpedo bat, and I'll take the L on this if I'm proven wrong, but I would say that right now they're getting a lot of hype because it's the beginning of the season. It's the New York Yankees. They had a couple of big games against a struggling team, and the torpedo bat was something to talk about. My guess is by June 1st, we won't be talking much about the torpedo bats, even if they come into Detroit and maul the Tigers next week. So we'll see. As soon as things cool off and numbers regulate like they are always apt to do in baseball, I think that'll go away. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, like the whole thing about them, it was like the Yankees used them and they hit all those home runs in the first series, the home series, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly hard to hit a home run in that stadium, but it's also the Yankees who sign a bunch of power hitters, and Aaron Judge doesn't use the torpedo bat.
Right.
So, like, I feel like if it was any other team except for the Dodgers, mind you, you got LA and New York, maybe the Mets, but if it was outside those two markets, I don't really even know if this would even be a story. I mean, I guess the amount of home runs maybe, but it's just I think people forget that the Yankees kind of hit home runs. I got maybe. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That's the way I've looked at it. It didn't shock me, and I think that I agree with you 100%. I think by June 1st we're gonna forget that we cared so much about torpedo bats in the first place.
Yeah. One of the interesting things is, and I can't believe this didn't come up last year, but supposedly Giancarlo Stanton was using that bat in the playoffs last year when he went ham. Remember, it's Giancarlo Stanton, so nobody really noticed that he was hitting 1 billion home runs, but he was. Yeah. He had an awesome postseason. And now there's some speculation that, and again, this seems like a bit much because he's always hurt. There's some speculation that the torpedo
Where's
bat...
Where's John Boy Media saying anything about that, huh?
Yeah, hurt both of his elbows because of those bats. And it's like, okay, I mean, maybe, what? No, I don't think so. But we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I think everybody, it does feel like one of those things that people want to be true, right? Like I said, it'd be nice for hitters to have something. And honestly, maybe down the road, if pitching continues to get better, and it will, until somebody's arm literally flies off and they have to do something, why not? I mean, why not consider making the bats a little bit bigger, a little bit, something like that to give the hitters a chance. You don't have to make them like, the old Captain Caveman bats, but just like, instead of 2.61 inches, how about 2.71 inches, right? Like just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something worth thinking about.
My guess on that is they're more likely to move the mound back.
I just think that it's really weird that everybody made a big deal about it, but it was like, oh, it's the Yankees. That's fine. But if anybody else did it, if Houston did it or anybody else, they would have been like, they're cheating and it's against the baseball. It just seemed like everybody was cool with it because it was the Yankees. Am I imagining that? Because I felt like that was the way it went about it.
When I first saw it, I'm like, well, that feels illegal. And then no, it's fine. I'm like, all right, well, fine. That's cool.
I don't remember the list, but there were other players using them last year, even during the regular season. It's not like these are new. It was just the Yankees had a crazy power weekend, and people noticed the bats, and they had to run with it,
Yeah, and also, and against a former teammate who cost him the postseason. So anything that the New York media's like, ha ha!
Yeah,
exactly.
And it broke through the sports world. I talked to people at work who aren't even like sports fans. They're like, "What's the deal with these bats?" I'm like, "Oh wow,
what is the deal with these bats?"
That's why I didn't bring it up in any of my segments because yes, I have gotten many questions about my opinions on the torpedo bats this week.
It's not a cricket
talking
bat.
about it all week.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm all for anything that gets people talking about baseball.
Sure.
If it's the Savannah Bananas or torpedo bats, it's all good to me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It is an interesting development too because my brother said something that was pretty funny. He goes, all the advances of baseball, all the metrics. He's like, now they talk about the wide in the barrel. And he's like,
Yeah.
how did I not do that before in the wood? And I tried to come up with an explanation. I got nothing.
Yeah.
So, but so the Tigers home opener is tomorrow. Chris and I will be down there before Chris heads out to West Michigan. I'll be in Erie all weekend. And so I'm going to try to go to 2 opening days in one day. It's going to be tomorrow. Troy Melton will be throwing for the Seawolves. Jack Flaherty will be taking the mound for the Tigers. And tomorrow's game and Saturday's, all 3 games are 1 o'clock starts. Or I think 1:30 starts, I think.
110?
Yeah, 1:10, something like that.
Was it 130?
Yeah.
I'm looking.
And we'll be down tomorrow with a couple. What'd you say? What?
110, yeah. Sorry.
1:10. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be down there bright and early as opening day. Opening day is a thing in man, I'm tired. Opening day is a thing in Detroit. Don't laugh, Chris. I'm like you're distracting
No,
me.
it's good. It's good. Sorry.
That's okay. Opening day is a thing, and Mike, Chris, and I will be down there. Mike's gonna be down there as well. We'll be hanging out in front of the statue. I believe we're gonna meet some people down there, and should be a good time. Come say hi. If you see us, of course, me being with the ponytail, and I'm kind of a chubby Hispanic dude, hard to miss. Although Papchuk's got the beard. Chris has got the beard. I don't have the beard anymore because I've been leading meetings at my day job, and so I've been trying to be more clean shaven, respectable, not look like a caveman. So
that's why I look like a caveman, man. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I work in a corporate job, and they let me look like a caveman. I will. That is my
and that's the thing. Like, and I'm but I noticed though, like I had a beard for a long time, and all of a sudden now I've been clean shaven. I've noticed that my boss treats me a little differently. So.
I bet you. Yeah,
And also, I wore a polo today, so,
Collar shirts, very nice.
Collar shirts. Well, normally I wear a t-shirt. Like, what's nice about working from home is the luxury of like wearing whatever you want. I mean, I always wear a pair of jeans and
Looks like you got a 232 time there.
Yeah, exactly.
I wore for I guess 13 years or whatever. I basically wore a hoodie and jeans every day at my job. And then the pandemic hit, and I worked from home, and I wore less than that. And then I got an adult job, and I realized that these dress pants are more comfortable than jeans.
I disagree with that. I can't.
The ones I got, the ones that Tara got for me, they're like Hurley dress pants, and they're basically like pajamas that look like dress pants.
Yes.
And I drove to Pittsburgh today in those things, and I was like, these are nice.
Yeah, you know what though? I gotta get a pair of those though because those they do sound comfortable. Because jeans when you drive on a road trip suck after a while because you have your it's just you want to be as comfortable as possible when you're driving out there.
The worst thing of all time is wearing like jean shorts to Cedar Point and then like going on the flume ride or whatever, the Snake River Falls, and getting all wet and then having them dry and you got your jean shorts on as you're driving home. It's the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, that and wet socks. Those are the two. I think wet socks are up there too because But
do you guys work for like an anti-jeans lobby? Because like I've never felt like my jeans were more uncomfortable than right in this very moment. Now that you guys have talked about this, I'm just like thinking about it, like, oh my god, they are kind of uncomfortable.
No, I don't like wearing khakis because they're like every pair of khakis. I mean, it's also because I went to Catholic school for 12 years, so I wore a uniform every single day, and I wore Dockers or some sort of pair of khakis, and every single one. It didn't matter what I did. I could like avoid dirt, but somehow it was like Pigpen from Peanuts. Like somehow I always got dirt on my khakis. Jeans, you can disguise that better. I mean, like if you don't have a napkin or something after you wash your hands, you can put on your jeans, but you can't do that in khakis. You have to kind of gotta be respectable. And and Mike, you worked in radio, so you understand this too. We both worked in this realm. There's people on air talent who literally wear pajama pants and sometimes slippers.
I believe it.
Yeah. So opening day is awesome. It's once a year. Detroit, it's one of the best. I would love to. I mean, we've done now. Like I said, we'll be at West Michigan tomorrow. We'll be at Erie tomorrow. We'll be in Detroit. We'll be in 3 different places tomorrow. Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody who's donated. Thank you everybody who subscribed. It's gone a long way. We had a gentleman, Ron, who is a fan of the website. He sent a note over. He said, "I wish I could do more." Hey, it's cool, man. No, don't worry about it. Thank you. Just seriously, it means a lot. Jake, I'm not sure who's going to be set to pitch tomorrow. Are they announced that yet? No.
Yeah, but
No Flying Tiger roster either.
we know that Chase Burns is pitching for Daytona, so it's like that's a question we still have to decide. Is it better for you to have the? It's probably better for you to have the radar gun in Erie because you're going to get Melton and then probably Ham and Miller.
Also,
but I
there's
would
a
love to have
national prospects too, I believe.
Yeah, Sunday, Yarlin Susanna.
Ooh.
I would love to see how hard Burns is throwing, but my guess is there'll be scouts there that I could just kind of cheat off of.
As far as who's throwing for the White Sox this weekend, that is a very good question, and I will tell you this right now. And there was Walter has a good trivia question too. Chris, you want to pull that up there?
You got Jonathan Cannon. You got is it Davis Martin and Martin Perez? Is it Davis Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tigers had a little bit of trouble with him at least one time through the order last year.
Well, I believe he is one of the first adopters of the kick change, right?
Yeah.
The so-called.
Look at that. I like Jake. Thank Jake. Look at Jake here with the inside knowledge here.
Yeah.
Rainer Castillo is not pitched tomorrow. I sent a message. He said no. Oh, okay. All right. Well, good.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised there.
Yeah, we don't really know who it would be interesting if it's Andrew Sears, but it's probably going to be like Joe Adamantz or Joe Miller.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Adamantz will probably be
since they've been there before. Here. Okay, what's this trivia question? All right.
Okay, happy home opener. Baseball card trivia for the crew to take home. Which 80s Tiger in 81 games hit 333 with 13 doubles, 13 home runs, 51 RBIs, 28 walks, and 28 strikeouts? In what season? I'm going to go with
81
I'm going to go with Howard Johnson. Hojo, 1984.
Did he have that many homers in 1984?
I thought he had 12, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Let's see here. That looks like a Champ Summers to me.
Oh, nice.
Isn't it a character in Anchorman? Champ Summers?
I don't know. I mean, I don't do a good job of memorizing statistics like that. I was just going to go with Larry Herndon. I don't know.
That's a good guess too.
I remember Larry Herndon for Dixie Machado saying his name in a funny way to me. Mr. Larry Herndon.
Okay. Mike, do you have a guess at all?
I mean, I'm going to be real. 80s Tigers, not my wheelhouse. I'm sorry, guys.
Johnny Grubb.
Really?
Johnny
Wow.
Grubb.
Wow.
Wow.
I was going to say, that's a what's more obscure, him or the Pat Sheridan, former...
Well, I mean, here's the thing. John Grubb was a hell of a hitter, but I didn't know he played enough during his Tiger days to get 13 homers, because he was a pinch hitter extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Johnny Grubb. Wow, he started in 72, huh? So, yeah, 86.
He was a good player.
Yeah, he only played part-time.
37 years old, too.
330, a 172 WRC plus.
That was a good one. That's a really good one.
Very nice.
But also, there is going to be on a show description tonight, or when I put out the show in the morning, a permanent link to join our Discord. We have trivia in there. We have about 280 people. This is year 4 of what's so funny?
Oh yeah, the trivia. Like today, the trivia was because I was driving to Pittsburgh. I just decided to ask people to name people who played for the Pirates and the Tigers.
Yeah,
we set it to 1980 and on because that would be easier.
Milt May.
There you go.
Who?
Milt May.
Milt May, the former catcher, right? Yeah,
Nobody mentioned him.
I put Darnell Coles and Jason Thompson. Those were my two guesses.
Oh yeah, Jason Thompson, good player.
Yeah, Jason Thompson, yeah. And the Jason Thompson was also an All-Star with Detroit and Pittsburgh in 1983 or 4 for Pittsburgh. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's probably a small list. That would be a more fun trivia question if I weren't driving.
Yeah,
I could have done that.
I wonder. What's up, Mike?
No, go ahead, Roger.
No, I was gonna say. I wasn't sure. Steve Kemp.
Steve Kemp played for both of them. Yeah.
Oh, really? I did not know. I thought he played exclusively for the White Sox. I did not know that.
Did he wind up with them for a little while at the end or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Good call there.
He went from the White Sox to the Yankees. I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was a backup first baseman, wasn't he? Something like that. An outfielder, something like that.
Outfield, yeah.
And
Yeah.
if trivia isn't your thing, I have been really enjoying having some people to talk to during Tigers games. That game day thread has
Yeah.
been fun. I like talking to people while a game's actually happening.
Yeah. Oh, that it does.
Enjoying.
Yeah, I do. I have to go in there during the day. I don't have a chance to go in there, but
Exactly,
at night
me
is.
neither.
But at night is a really good experience, especially people. I come to find out there's people who doesn't stay up late as much as I do, or there's not people who just stay up late either.
Really?
They fade at 11 when the Tigers are on the West Coast. So, but what's up?
Well, the Tigers, we talked about it last week, going on a road trip, playing out on the West Coast against the Dodgers. We kind of mentioned 2-4 quite a bit, right? As
Yeah.
being an acceptable start, not ideal, but not horrible. Now they got 3 against a bad last place team that we think that's what they're going to be, and then the New York Yankees come to town. What's a good week for the Tigers coming up here, guys?
I think 4-2. You'd feel good if you win. Is it four against the Yankees or 3 against the Yankees? I'm sorry.
I thought it was 3, but I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay. So if you go 2-1 in each series, that's great. If you sweep the White Sox and go 1-3 against the Yankees, it's not as fun, but win's a win. 3-3 would be okay, right? But you want to win those series at home. And again, the White Sox have been pitching well, but this is the home opener, and the Tigers kind of owe them for those last 2 games last year. They were all hungover.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I would think if they get a 4-2 week, you can't complain about it. If they do better, I mean, it's possible. I'm not impressed with the Yankees, despite the home run barrage. I think the Tiger pitching can keep them in check pretty well.
Yeah.
If they pitch around Judge, be okay with the rest of those guys.
Should be a good time. It should be a good series between the two, and hopefully the Tigers have a successful homestand, and we'll have a little more talk about this with next week. So stay classy, everybody, and we appreciate everybody, like I said, tuning in and subscribing. So please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, to this channel or our Tiger Minor League Report. Like and subscribe; it goes a long way. And we will talk to you next week. For everybody who watches the Minor League podcast, we'll be doing one on Monday night with Brandon Day, as all 4 affiliates will be back in action. Welcome back, baseball, full time.
All right.
See ya.